I want to find out if I can get 200 grams of protein for £10 at our local Sainsbury's, and ideally get a lunch and dinner and maybe a pudding. So we'll see if we can do it. So skirts, they sell Sainsbury's 21 day beef skirt. There's this whole bit here. That's 445 grams. That's £4.15. That'll give me about 160 grams of protein right there. These Toto Fat £3.50 yogurts are very good. I would prefer to buy this one because it's bigger, but I think I'll go over my budget today, so I'm going to get this one. I wanted to get butter, but that's over my budget, so I'm going to get lard instead. Should be fine. So I bought all of this and the total was £9.95. My brother forgot to press record, so therefore I have to share it here with my receipt. Here's the receipt. The protein source is mostly from the beef skirt, which about, I need to do the calculation in a second. And I'm not going to finish this today, but that's for this, and these two were spenny, but then everything else is for the steak and complimentary for the steak, and this is dessert. So I think I'll have half of this for lunch and half of this for dinner. But let's see what I make in the end. I've just done all the calculations, and this steak here, this is a beef skirt, has 146.8 grams of protein for the whole thing. This whole thing has 46.35, which is because it's 450 grams from the yogurt. And I was actually like 192, 191 or something. But luckily the potato has 8 grams of protein. So happy bloody days. And thank God I didn't get any smaller than this, because I actually needed the calories. Sorry, not the calories, the protein. So all of this together totals to 201.15 grams of protein, and it's £9.95. So I'm now gonna cook it, and I'll probably do the calories calculation as well to see if there's enough calories in this, but the protein has been met. Awesome. It's not rocket science. You just open this and you get the end of this thing. There you go. And that's 46.35 grams of protein of goodness. So we want to make sure we get all of that. Get your jello flavoring, that's sugar free. And they do other flavors. And if I be honest, I sometimes just mix this with water because I say these are 0 calories. If you actually want the nutrition information, it's, what is it? It's 37 calories per 100 grams. And this is 23, there's 2 here. So this is 11.5 grams and hardly anything else really. So it's like 10 calories if you're gonna count it. But I don't count 10 calories because what on earth is the point? Just mix it like that. Boom, boom, boom. Not rocket science. I just eat this straight away. I don't know if it will be better if it was left overnight, but this is what I do to get my go-to protein first. And actually yogurt is actually quite a staple. Your belly might hurt if you eat this straight away, especially if you're lactose intolerant, but I've gotten used to it. I've eaten like a litre once just to get my protein in. This is definitely one of the hacks that I definitely use to get all my protein in, and just becomes like strawberry shake. So this is the strawberry shake. It's not raspberry. There we go. I think I'm gonna eat this after the steak though, so this is very easy, but this is my dessert. And sometimes if you had the budget, blueberries to this and whatever other things here, but it's delicious. So here goes. Just editing the video and I finished the yogurt while I was waiting for my steak. Whoops daisy. There you go. With steak like this, I like to leave it in room temperature for 1 hour. And most people will be like, crap, you can't do it for an hour, but I like to leave it for an hour at room temperature. Normally I drench it in olive oil first before I drench it in salt. But since I don't have olive oil today, I'm just going to drench it in salt and call it a day. For picky people, I did not include salt in my budget because I just had it in a counter, and it's steak, man. You need salt for this. So here's some salt, and both sides. Very lean pieces of cut here. and I'm gonna leave it for an hour at room temperature. I don't normally count my fat sauce. I just use olive oil, and I know that has lots of calories, but I'm just consistent and inconsistent. But today I will count the lard because you know, it does have a lot of calories. I don't really want to measure it, so today I'm just gonna get half of this block. So this whole block is 250, so I'm just going to use 125 and just call it a day, and then just measure the 125. Cool. I'm going to use the lard for cooking the steak and putting some of my potatoes so it tastes decent, so there's some oil. Definitely won't be using this all, but here's the lard that I cut in half. 120, oh, so close. 126 would do. Maybe if I just use this one. The frick, I guess the paperweight something. Yeah, I'll use this one then, whatever. 126 grams of lard, and I'll just use that liberally for my steak and stuff. My fiance was cooking, so I decided to cut the audio out of this part of the video just because the exhaust fastener was on. My brother actually used the oven before me, so my baking tray was actually nice and hot already, which I didn't quite realize. So therefore the lard actually started melting already, which is actually convenient for me. I've just cutting the potatoes in chunks, and I'm planning to put it in about 200 degrees for about 25 minutes. I want it fairly big and chunky just because the potatoes will cook too quickly, and to finish cooking off the steak as well. Speaking of which, the steak has been resting for an hour, and yeah, it's not exactly like watching time, so I just put a time on just to make sure I've done it for an hour. It's got about 6 minutes left going to this video. And yeah, I'm gonna use half the garlic for the potatoes and half the garlic for the steak. The steak I'm gonna cook it in lard as well, first time as well. Normally I use olive oil, like I said before, but I'm also gonna cook it in cast iron and finish off with a fast sear. Yeah, very looking forward to my potatoes. Just to let you know, guys, I did also use salt and pepper, which are outside of my budget, just to make sure the potatoes and steak and taste of something. I'm assuming salt and pepper is not included. I did not include olive oil in my pantry just because olive oil is expensive nowadays, and I wanted to see if I can still count my calories in. So there you go, salt and pepper, fantastic. So I'm searing the steak, and the most important thing is actually to press it down. You've preheated the cast iron, let the cast iron do its work. If I'd be honest, if this was any thinner cut, I would probably have done it in a higher heat and flip it only once. But because it's such a thick cut, 450 grams, I've decided to just go for a medium heat, like 6 out of 9 if you're using an electric stove, and just let the steak cook a little bit, so that it won't be the best color when I flip it over, but I'm gonna flip it multiple times. So I decided to check on the potatoes, and the potatoes were actually basically almost done, but the steak wasn't. So that's a misjudgment in my end. So what I decided to do was actually put the potatoes on the bottom side of the cast iron rack, and I put the top side on. And because this oil here, the lard, has been covered in garlic goodness, I've decided to finish off the steak in that garlic at the top stove, while the bottom is just being kept warm with the cast iron remaining heat. This is a tip from Adam Raguse that I learned, like, God knows how long, whenever he started trending on YouTube about, you know, him seasoning the board with the steak. Basically, the skirt steak is a very cheap cut of meat, and since I don't have any other flavorings, this actually works. So what Adam Raguse does, actually, he gets the garlic and puts it on the board and puts butter and black pepper. Now, I don't have the luxury of butter, and if you did have butter, please do add it. However, I've just got the complete raw garlic and crushed it up, skin on, in the garlic press, and then the garlic becomes sort of like a wasabi kick, and that itself is just a sauce. So when I rest the meat, I'm just going to rest it on this garlic puree, and it becomes a very powerful kicking sauce. So the next tip that I want to give people is that the most important thing is actually just cut across the grain when you have such a cheap cut. So you can see the grains on the steak and you just cut orthogonal or perpendicular to that the grain. The grain is very obvious on this pizza cut right now, so therefore you can get more tender pieces like this. So this is the final dish put together. The steak is medium rare, and the potatoes and the steak is very garlicky. The garlicky actually flavor tastes quite subtle and different, and using the lard actually made it taste even more meatier. My brother actually prefers it more than to butter. I am indifferent. It definitely was addictive to eat. The potatoes was a very good addition. If you're trying to cut even more and maybe be a bit more carnivore, fine, take it out. Anyway, the total calorie intake for this meal was 2,637 calories, but a total of 218 grams of protein. However, a disclaimer, the lard, which is 126 grams, which I didn't use all of it, was clocked in as 1,137 calories. So if you just exclude the lard and just include yogurt, the skirt, steak, and baked potatoes, it was a total of 1,500 calories and 218 grams of protein. So for £10, I believe this was a bargain for the amount of protein that we got and for very little calories. And if I be honest, if I was in a calorie surplus, I'll easily have 2 instant ramens. Argue in the comments about the nutritional content of ramen, but that's what I would have. I hope you enjoyed that, guys. See you next time.